second. All right. We are live. Yay. And I am here with Kerry Lee, the alchemical artist, and we're just going to wait a few seconds here to see who is going to show up live. But in the meantime, I want to welcome those of you who are tuning into this video at whatever time that you tune into it. It's really a pleasure, Kerry, to have you on my YouTube and Facebook channels. As we were talking, I was telling you we stream into both with StreamYard, and I'm really delighted that you're here because we are going to be talking about some interesting ways that like you've been enlightened to your own creative process through your design, and how that has led you into birthing the how did you say that, your life's work,
I feel like it's my life's work. I really do. I feel like I've hit that point where all the pieces are coming together and I'm creating, which is what I'm supposed to be doing, my life's work with all these beautiful pieces and people who have come through my life.
Awesome. So for those of you who are curious, since we are on my channel where we talk a lot about human design, Kerry Lee is actually an emotional manifesting generator. So, we've been talking bits and pieces. We're in a business networking mastermind group together as well, and we've been talking in bits and pieces after you got your reading about what it means to be an emotional manifesting generator. So I'd love it if you can kind of share some of your insights with people, because I've had some manifesting generators lately who've been asking me questions, and maybe some of your experience can help them.
Yeah, I think the biggest ahas that I had were just like a better understanding, well, of course, of me. But what I mean specifically by that is that I'm an idea person. I'm a creative. That's one of my strengths, is I have this endless stream of ideas come. And I would try and respond to them all, right? Which is a frantic, hectic, overwhelmed life, which is also part of this design. But what I really have learned is that if I relax into it and I feel my way through my own emotional cycle and learn what that cycle is, then I get great clarity on whether that's something that I can just sort of witness or move on, right? And
Yeah.
I had figured out ways for myself to do that before I found out about my design, but this took it to the next level. Like, this just affirmed and gave me so much more depth in terms of like the cycle of it all. And I always felt that my energy moved like the ocean waves. That's how I would describe myself. I was in or I was out. And so 9 to 5 kind of job for me was difficult. I did it for many, many years, but that was not my rhythm. And now I just say, I need to move and act on my inspiration. And what a better way to live. It doesn't necessarily fit with the norm, but I'm not the norm in that sense. So just to be able to self-accept has been huge.
Yeah, I think that's the greatest part of learning about your design, and really starting to integrate some of that deeper understanding about yourself, is that unshakable level of self-acceptance that comes from that. It's so cool. And, I have to say that when we were talking about your emotional authority, and I was trying to explain the process, and the way that I explain things sometimes is sort of circular, and I eventually get there, and you were like, you said, oh, it's when I hit that, I had go through those ups and downs and those waves, and then I hit that, how'd you say that quiet spot?
Yes.
And
Yes, exactly. And I never really considered myself emotional. Like, I think I'm one of the most even keeled emotional people I know. I don't have the extremes of anger and super happy. Well, I do, I get pretty giddy, or sadness. You know what I mean? I don't have those extremes. So I never would have labeled myself emotional. But now that I'm aware of this, I'll wake up and you use the word melancholy in one of your sessions. And that's perfect, because it's just kind of this mist that's around me, right? That makes me into melancholy. And if I can recognize that's a day that I need to just slow down and not try and be superwoman, extra productive, all those other things, because that space is where I definitely recharge my batteries and I recharge my ideas and my energy and all of that. And if I don't take it, my health suffers. And honestly, I think I've done that to myself over the years, because I didn't know that. Now I'm
Yeah.
on the other side and I figured out a lot of health stuff, but can wear ourselves out. And I think as a manifesting generator, it's probably
Yeah.
really likely,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. And that I use that description of getting to the quiet spot so much now with clients when they have an emotional authority, because that's like when you hit that understanding of, oh, I wait through, whatever this wave cycle is that you innately felt in your body, then
Yeah,
you realize, oh, my clarity is right there when I get into that quiet place.
it is. And for me, that means go to my studio and pick up a paintbrush, because then that's really where I get clarity, because then it's moving through my body in the way that's appropriate for me.
Mm-hmm.
And I
Yeah.
think in some ways, it's so funny, being midlife, I'm like, oh, I wish I knew this when I was younger, but it actually wasn't even, I think, around when I was really
Yes,
young.
exactly.
But now, because I know myself the way I do, it's just been so affirming, right? And so it's just gave me this ease and clarity. I don't know. It's just like there's no traffic on the road, right? The traffic jam's gone.
Yeah, yeah, there's less of that working against yourself or thinking that you need to work against yourself to get to where it is that where your heart desires to go.
Yeah.
Um, I want to get back to the going in the studio and picking up the paintbrush,
Okay.
because that's really what I want to talk about as we move forward. Because I'm really excited about your self discovery wisdom school, and kind of for selfish reasons, sort of, because I get to be a part of it. But I'd love for you to kind of share with me and those who are listening and watching, what your background is. I know I'll tell everyone what how my impression of your background and
Okay.
how it affects me, and then I want you to talk about you. But when we first met, um, and some people who've been, if there are people watching this who've been following me for a while, they know that I suddenly picked up a paintbrush 3 or 4 years ago. I haven't really been doing much painting since we moved, but I'm getting back into it. And one of the things that really struck my heartstrings was the intentional creativity movement, and I
Mhm.
wanted it to participate in that, um, and perhaps get certified, because I'm a projector, so I want to learn everything and I want to get into everything. And then my own wisdom told me, you don't have to, as a projector, do everything. So I just sort of let it go.
Yeah.
And then in you walk, and our first meeting was, oh, I'm in the intentional creativity movement, which I want you to explain a little bit
Okay.
as you move in.
Okay.
And then when you invited me into being a part of your self-discovery wisdom school, I realized that I kind of realized that I really don't have to do everything to be part of that
That's right.
movement.
That's right. Isn't that beautiful to realize that?
Yeah,
We
it
don't
is.
have to do it all. We can be in the space and share it. And that's what I'm loving about the self-discovery wisdom schools. I'm bringing in you and others to hold your piece of the red thread, as we say, or your piece of the pie. I don't have to do it all either, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. So, tell us a little bit about
Okay.
that, the background, and because I know your career or your interest in art goes even beyond that. So,
Yeah. Yep.
um,
Okay, so my interest in art, I was born with it. I was born a creative and an artist. My first painting was of John F. Kennedy's casket with an American flag on it when I was 3. So this is how I expressed and how I witnessed the world, right? But I got messages growing up, whether they were meant to be taken the way I took them or not, that art wasn't really a viable way to be in the world. And so I got what I call a 35-year case of creative constipation, where I could only create by taking classes. So I always had my fingers and was learning technique, which is now paying off. but I didn't pursue that as my life. I went into business. I was an entrepreneur. I had a specialty coffee house and micro roastery, and I did all these other things that were actually,
Typical manifesting generator.
yeah, my career path is,
Being prolific and you're with your energy.
yes, but they weren't my things. They were what other people thought I should do, or supporting someone else, right? And that story kind of came to an end when I had a divorce and a loss of the business and a loss of my finances. And at that point I went, okay, if this is how life is going to be, this was 11 years ago, I'm going to do what I want to do, and I'm going to reclaim that artist who I don't even know who she is, but she is screaming to come out, right? So I need to reclaim her, and I want to do something that I feel makes a difference in the world. And shortly after that, I met the founder of Intentional Creativity, Shiloh Sophia McLeod, and immediately signed up for her certification program to be a teacher. It was a year-long program. And so what intentional creativity is it's a transformative method of creativity. And typically it's painting or drawing in this case, but it truly can be any expression of creativity with the intention in it, right? That we do. And actually, we're doing that right now. We set intentions before we came
We
on.
did. We did.
We are being creative in terms of we are creating something. So this is truly a form of, you are really in the intentional creativity.
And before we move, that brings up a thought before you move forward with that. Those of you who are watching, you can co-create with us by leaving your comments or your questions on whatever platform you're on. If you're on Facebook or YouTube, just leave your comments and questions. And if you have questions, we'll be happy to entertain them. So go ahead.
Yeah, please. I would love to, to hear anything, any thoughts or whatever. Okay, so intentional creativity is this transformative method of creativity that anyone can do. It is not about being an artist. I do not teach technique. I guide through a creative process, because what that does is that accesses a different part of us, a different part of our subconscious, our imagination, our intuition, our deep inner knowing, our self-wisdom, right? And then it goes through like our right brain, our heart, and out our hands onto canvas or paper. And it can be used in many different ways. The different teachers or guides use it in different ways. But for me, because it's my story, I use it to help release blocks, to help heal life's wounds, the tough stuff that we all have to go through, get it out of your body, which is so critical to human design, because that's about paying attention to your body, right? And so for me, paying attention to my body was not necessarily my norm. So that's been another aha. But anyhow, so get it, the blocks out of, or the blocks out of our body onto canvas or paper, where it literally can leave and just go live there. Right. And then once you've got this space from the release and the blood and getting out the wounds, all of a sudden you have the ability to get vision and clarity on what you want instead, for the future, for now, for whatever. And so it really spoke to me, because it took the things that I cared about in my life experience and being creative with a purpose. Because I'm a manifesting generator, I kind of need to have a purpose, right? And so I don't,
a satisfying purpose.
purpose, yeah. So just like my style of art is not to go paint a realistic picture. You can see on the background, that's just not my way. I think even my art, right, is expressing my design in that sense. So basically that's what intentional creativity is. And it can be done, if you think about it, also like if you have a garden and you grow your own vegetables and they're organic and you chop them up and you put them in a pot with the right herbs and all that, and love, you make this soup. You make this amazing soup. And if you open a can and you heat it up, that's a completely different experience of your
Yes.
soup, right? So that's sort of another way to look at it.
Wow. Wow. Yeah. I don't know if our viewers are familiar with the red thread.
Okay.
Do you want to explain that? Well, the reason I want to kind of touch on that is because I just had this insight about how I did one of Shiloh Sophia's workshops on online for like the new year or whatever several years ago, and she did the red thread ceremony. And as you were talking about how you got into the intentional creativity movement, I just had this flash that we are connected. We were connected by the red thread
Right.
before we even met each other. And now you're with this self-discovery wisdom school, you're actually creating your own red thread community.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah. I mean, I'm talking about it, but if you can kind of
Yeah.
explain what
Yeah.
that is.
Yeah, so it's literally, which I have one behind me and I have one right here, but it's literally a ball of red thread or yarn or whatever, right? But it's a symbol, it's a metaphor for something else, and it's used in many different cultures. For example, Native Americans, they have sage that they burn, right, for cleansing. They often tie it with red thread, and for them, that's a connection to their ancestors. That smoke and the red thread. Soldiers used to wear pieces of red thread on their uniforms that showed that they were peaceful in the communities that they were in. Another symbolism of red thread. Also, some Asian cultures will put red thread on baby carriages, or even had one of my workshop attendees tell me her mother used to stitch red thread on her underwear every year. So that was a sign of protection. And I loved that. So, but the one that I like to use and that we use within the red thread community typically is an ancient Chinese proverb that says, everyone who is destined to meet is connected by an invisible red thread. And that thread may stretch or tangle, but it will never break. And so if you think about that, we go through life and we're weaving, right, this thread around everything that we do. And oftentimes people come into our life and you just feel like you're supposed to know them, or you have an old connection or something like that. And it's really true that when you, again, set an intention for the people who resonate to show up, that's a red thread connection. So I use it in my work as a symbol of communication and community, really. So we pass around either realism where we have it and we hand it to each other, or just through the screen, an invisible red thread, and we create a connection, and everybody gets to have their piece of the red thread because they're part of the community. And also, we all are responsible for our own pieces of the red thread, right? We can't hold everybody else's stuff, right? Whether it's good or bad or whatever, we're responsible for our piece in the bigger picture.
I just had this human design insight about that.
Okay.
We are responsible for our red thread, and the more that we are aligned with our true essence through the and what is really the highest expression of the themes we came to live out through our chart, the more, in human design, we talk about the G center holding the magnetic monopole, the magnetic resonance, the more clearly that magnetic resonance expresses itself, and it keeps you from being tangled up in the red thread.
Yes.
It really keeps the connections clear with, in human design speak, with your fractal, with those people that you are destined to meet.
Yes. I love it. I love that connection and that interweave.
Yeah, that is so cool. Yeah, I love how different cultures and different symbolism and different that there's so many different ways to understand how we come together
Yes.
energetically and even physically, even as face to face. So cool.
And if
Cool.
life, as you're wandering about and you notice someone's wearing some red thread, typically on their wrist or somewhere, it almost always has meaning to them. So it's a super fun question. Tell me about your red bracelet or your red thread around your wrist. And
Yeah.
what, it could be anything, but it usually has meaning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. So your red thread has uh, taken you into, moved you into, called out of you the creation of the self-discovery wisdom school.
It sure has. And part of it is pandemic related. I've had to have a shift in my business, right? And so that's when all these pieces kind of came together at the beginning of the year. And I'm a people collector. I am very rich in human capital. I love the people who come into my life, and I
Oh,
tend.
and for the human design people, that's a 4-6 profile. That's a reflection of a 4-6
Okay.
profile. I'm pretty sure that's what you are. It's,
I think I'm 5'1", but I listen to that too, and I feel like I've got something of that inside of me. Well, I
are
do.
you 5'1"?
Maybe I'm not. I'll have to look
I
at
don't
this.
know. You feel like a 4-6. We'll have to look at your birth time again.
I'd be terrible. I don't know. But anyhow, um, so, and I love, it's really important to me with this whole red thread thing is that everyone gets what they need or desire out of an interaction, right? That it's very circular and that we support each other and we help each other. And, you know, it just life works better that way. And so, and I don't need to do it all. And even though I could have all these things come, I don't need to do it all, just like you were talking about. And so what's happened as I have gone further on my own path of self-discovery and also looked for different ways of expressing what I do, which needs to be online now, I came to realize that I've got these people in my life, and Sandy, you're one of them with human design, who have this slice of the pie or this piece of the red thread, when integrated with the others, make something incredibly powerful and insightful and fun and connected. And so what I've done is I've called in you, and right now it's 2 other modalities, I'll call it, and as well as intentional creativity, that each give a different perspective of insight into or self-discovery. And these different perspectives overlap each other, just like on the edges,
Yeah.
just enough to pass the baton to the next person, right? But yet they all have different aspects that they help discover. And so it's kind of like you could go get an x-ray and you can see yourself with an x-ray, or you can go get an MRI and you have sort of this 360 view. And so I've pulled together these different parts that I feel give more like a 360 view. And then it's all rooted in intentional creativity. And so what that means is in the self-discovery school, we're a group, but we go off on individual quests, right, for this self-discovery. And so people will quest over to you, Sandy, and have their session with you for that part of their discovery. And then we'll come back as a group, compare notes, and about discoveries about each other, and create a project that is going to pull those pieces together visually of what they've learned. Because I'm obviously a visual learner as well. So it's just another way to make it experiential and fun. And plus, then you could have this cool visual of that piece. And then at the end, once they've got all those different pieces, we will do what I'm calling a mandala map. And we'll create these mandalas that are our individual mandalas. So the instructions are kind of the same, but we're all different. So they all turn out different. And
Yeah.
yeah, and then we'll do a roadmap. A vision book is what I call it. And it's something like this. And it's this is a business plan, but we can do vision books on how to move forward in life. They're super simple. I mean, I use stick figures. Are we here?
And they look like so much fun.
Yeah, they're so much fun. This is my first mandala that I did. That's the mandala map. And we address things like limiting beliefs and how to get in touch with your own insight and imagination and intuition right in the beginning, so that it sort of centers us before we go off on these quests.
You know what's going to be really fun to observe about that is where those overlaps are and what each person comes back with from their quest.
Yes.
Like when I do a human design reading, a lot of times the person who gets the reading will listen to or watch the video of the reading several times, sometimes over the course of years.
Yeah, oh, absolutely.
And but like the first shot is the snapshot. And then, down the line, they'll get another piece, and down the line, they'll get another piece. But now that we've got like several different people with these overlaps, it'll be interesting to see if like they get a snapshot from the human design reading, and then they go and they get like a snapshot from the next person. And if those snapshots are going to be similar, what it's going to reinforce in that moment, and how that will evolve over time, how that understanding of their snapshots are going to evolve.
Yes, you're going to love it. So I've been doing this. I've been doing this with my individual coaching clients. And so that's how I know and how I see the overlap. And I guess the best analogy I can say is we're going to make a giant ice cream sundae. I don't know why that came up, but it
Yeah,
did.
that
And
sounds
so,
delicious.
so all these different individual quests are different flavors of ice cream. They're all ice cream, but some of them have nuts in them, some of them have fruit, some of them might be fruity, some of them might be sorbet, whatever, right? So they're all different, but they're all similar. And so it really is, they're completely different, but because they're about you, right, about each individual person, that's where the overlap happens. And it's also, it's just, they reinforce each other. Like
Yeah.
you get enough that you're like, oh my gosh, that's what happened and over there, and that's what happened over there. And actually, that's what I already know about myself as well, because I've been living my personality, right? Um, yeah, I'm so excited and so like honored that I get to hold this container of this self-discovery wisdom school.
Yeah, yeah, and I know when you first started talking about it, it seemed so it seemed like you were birthing your child.
Oh, a long pregnancy. That's right.
You're waiting and you've been waiting and waiting and waiting, and all of the sudden it just started to take shape and it gathered this momentum. Wow.
I
Yeah.
love that you
Such
say that because when we opened the coffee house and the micro roastery, it took about 2 years, which is the gestation time of an elephant, right?
mm.
That's what it felt like. It felt like we just instantly had this baby elephant. Like, how do you deal with a baby elephant? I don't know what this equates to, but that'll be interesting for me to figure
Yeah,
that
to feel through.
out.
Yeah. Yeah. So who would you say that this I mean, like there are probably people who are watching or going to watch here in the near future who will say will just kind of intuitively know that
Yes.
oh, I've got to be, I just resonate with that. I want to know more. But who would you say um from your standpoint now
Yeah.
would really benefit from
Yeah.
the self-discovery wisdom school?
Yeah. I'm actually super clear on that. So it is, yeah, it is, which is part of the reason, like, I know, right, that this is what I should be doing because of the clarity. So it's the late high school, let's say early college, transitioning out of mandated schooling into what do I want to do with my future, and whether it's going to college or trade school or who knows what, but maybe just not knowing what direction is the right direction for them. So there's that age group of wanting to know yourself better, right? But then there's also another 10 years down the road. So let's just say late 20s. And that's when you've been out in the world and you've been doing working, do your thing. And maybe it's not resonating for you. Maybe it just feels like you're just going through the motions. You're on the hamster wheel, whatever. You're not getting fulfillment from the way you have designed your life or agreed to move forward in your life. Those two were both of me. Okay. I was an art
Mm.
major that decided I wasn't an artist because I couldn't throw a pot for the life of me and I couldn't draw anything realistic. So I got my degree in business, right? So I went off track. Then my late 20s, I went back to school in graphic design. Didn't do it for other reasons, went off track. So then there's so then it's another way, just before life goes too much further, right? Like just do a course correction. This will help with a desired course correction. Then there's, let's say, midlife, and a lot of your responsibilities, like children, are able to take care of themselves. You've established yourself in your career, but it's still just there's something really in you that needs to happen to feel fulfilled. That was me as well with this whole artist thing. So that's a good time in life because you can still make, you don't have to change your career. That's not what I'm saying. I was kind of crazy in that I completely changed paths, but that's a good time where you can just make, again, some adjustments or do things differently with great clarity. Then there's early retirement, and
Mm.
still have a whole life ahead of you. Just because you're retired does not mean you're done, right?
Mhm.
And but maybe you want to leave your legacy, or you want to do something super meaningful, or you want to feel this ease and this inspiration like you've never felt before. So that's another good time. So
Yeah.
this can serve really any point
It
in life.
Yeah, and it sounds like what you've identified are all of the turning Are you there? I think I lost us there for a second.
We freed you. Said something about what I've identified in life is all of the turning, and that's where I
The
lost.
turning points, like if we think about it in astrology terms, like, well, other than graduating from high school, your Saturn return at
Yes,
the end of your 20s into your 30s,
yes,
your Uranus opposition, where you're really around the age of 40, where you're really looking for that meaning. You've already established yourself in as an adult. You're a master at adulting, hopefully by then, and you're looking for something more,
yeah,
some more meaning. And then well, the Chiron return that happens at 50 is like the blossoming,
yeah,
of so here I've had all of this life experience. Now what? How do I bring that out into the world and let that flow out into the world into something meaningful? And then, and that's that age 50, 60, it just sort of develops into that whole I'm into retirement, now I've got this free time or whatever it is, and what else is there for me?
yeah.
So yeah, I
Exactly.
see that very clearly.
All of those were me. They were all me, which is why I can relate to it so, because I never felt in alignment with who and what I thought I should be. It was just this knowing, right? And so I was so driven when my life sort of fell apart, so driven to find that out.
Yeah, and now
So,
you found it.
and it's kind of a fast pass. The Self Discovery Wisdom School is kind of a fast pass.
Yeah.
I don't have to do as many mountain ranges as I did, you know?
Can you show that image? Because I put that on like the thumbnail, that image of the mandala again.
Yeah,
Because as you when you pulled that up and as we're talking about the process and who this is for, it's like, to me it looks like a compass, and you're finding through the adventure and the journey of self-discovery, it's like you get this compass for that point in your life that sort of emerges from you.
that's right. That's
Yeah.
exactly what this is. It's a compass. It's got the different, I'll say, modalities or perspectives of insight, and then your personal gems around it, right?
Hmm.
And then what is your north? Like, what is your personal north? Because those are all different. So that's what you need
Yeah.
to know what direction to head for you. So
Yeah.
this was
Yeah.
the seed of the Self Discovery Wisdom School. This was sort of a doodle. I had the idea, but it was really for a project. It wasn't for a whole school.
Well, that's a project of sorts.
But I feel like one
One.
class, one workshop, like let's do mandala. Oh no.
Yeah. Wow. Wow. Yeah. So I see that we have quite a few people on now, and we've been talking with Kerry Lee, the alchemical artist. We talked a little bit about her, what it's like for her to be an emotional manifesting generator, and we've also been talking about this awesome. Um, well, it's more than a project. I just said project. This awesome creation that you're birthing called the Self-Discovery Wisdom School, and human design is going to be a part of that.
Yeah.
So, and we've been talking about creativity and art and all of that. So if you've been on for a while and you have any questions, feel free to put them in the comments, and we'll address whatever, or any comments that you have, we'll address those as well. Um, and I guess people kind of need to know, just for completion's sake here, what you know, where do you go to find out more about the Self Discovery Wisdom School?
Yes. My website is kerryleeart.com. It's happening so fast. I don't have a page for the Self Discovery Wisdom School yet. However, I do have a Facebook group. So that's really the place to head to in this moment if you're watching it
Mhm.
as a recording. And that's just the Self Discovery Wisdom School on Facebook. You can just do
Yeah, and I'll make sure I put a link with wherever this video goes so that people can find it easily.
yeah.
I
And
know
you
that we're in there now. Some of us are in there.
good, good, good.
And yeah, and you're doing a 5-day challenge as of today, which is what, what's today, the 22nd of August?
And the 5-day challenge starts August 31st. And so if you want to join the challenge, we can put a link for that as well.
Yeah,
Join the
yeah.
challenge. Yeah.
And the challenge is, you outline this and describe this so nicely. The challenge is about finding your magic, meaning, and inspiration.
Yes.
starting August 31st.
Yes.
And yeah, and you'll get to, I guess we'll be in there with you. There's Liesl Teversham, that's a strengths master and a confidence coach, and Stephen Henderson, Mayan dream spell transformation coach, and then there's me, who's the human design person, and you, Kerry, as the alchemical artist, and
Yep.
the yeah. Um, so cool. I'm so excited about this.
We'll be sharing the journey as we go. So, once the actual first sessions start, which is September 12th,
Hmm.
we'll be sharing, what's happening within the school. So even if they're not in that first session, they can pop in and see what's going on and what projects are being created and what ahas and that kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah, very cool. Yeah, yeah. And I know from your energy and what you're responding to through your sacral, and the melancholy cycle that you just came through that we've been talking about here and there. I can just feel how the momentum is sort of building from within you
Yeah.
outward in your auric field to hold this space and to really strengthen the connection, the so-called red thread connection that we have among us.
Yeah. Which
Yeah,
is pure joy for me, right? So I even said the other day, this is my life. I get to do this, because that's how it feels.
yeah,
That
yeah.
layered creation is what I love.
What was the word?
Layered creation and really layered experiential interactive creation is my favorite thing. More than painting, it's creating a living thing, I guess.
Yeah, yeah, and creating and co-creating with
Co-create,
all of
sure.
these energies that you're bringing in, and in a certain way supporting with your manifesting generator aura.
Yeah.
Yeah, Delphine says, love the red thread symbolism. Yeah, awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Powerful.
yeah. Okay. Well, do you have anything else you want to share?
I don't. I think that just, pay attention to how your body felt while you were watching this, right?
Mm-hmm.
If your energy started rising up, then that to me means something. And this
Mm-hmm.
is before I knew my design and other things. And if you're feeling like, that seems exhausting, maybe not the right fit.
Maybe not the right fit or not the right time. And I
Yeah.
love how you're doing like a 5-day challenge. And this is just like a little business thing on the, a little human design business thing on the side here for anyone who's interested in that, because half the population has that emotional authority or has some kind of a way of knowing what's right for them that takes time.
Yeah, yeah, right.
So it's like, you get 5 days to kind of feel it out, to kind of respond if you're a generator or manifesting generator, to
Yeah,
feel into the strength of the invitation if you're a projector. And yeah, so I love how you set this up where it's kind of like, come on in with your attractive and enveloping aura. Come on in and let's experience this. And
yeah,
you get to take your time to feel the energy and feel into your body.
exactly. And every day we're going to sort of focus on a different aspect, I'll call it. And this isn't exactly a prototype, but we're going to create inspiration, intention, and inspiration flags, something like this.
Oh, wow.
We're going to be creating, and each day we'll make a different piece of the flag that will have a different aspect of the participant.
Yay.
Yeah,
All right.
it's simple. Pantry art. You can pretty much do it with whatever you have on
Yeah,
hand.
so that was my next question. Do we have to go out and get art supplies or
You're not.
okay.
Yeah,
All
probably
right.
some heavy duty paper and whatever you have on hand will work.
Excellent.
Yeah,
Excellent. Yeah, so it's accessible to everyone.
it is. Yeah.
Great. Great. Well, um I'm feeling complete. How about you?
I am too. Yep. Yay!
Okay. Well, I want to thank all of you who have come on, all of you who are watching. On my screen, there's like a little eyeball, and I can see how many, and the likes and the loves. And thank you so much for your support. Yeah, Carmen and Gail, and I can't see who else is there, but thank you, thank you, thank you, and Delphine, thank you for your comment. And I'll be sure to put Kerry Lee's information and the information about the Self-Discovery Wisdom School in the comments wherever this video is. So feel free to come over and check out the 5-day challenge, or check out the program, or contact Kerry Lee, and maybe just even follow her for a while. She's a pretty cool person to be around.
Aw,
So
thank you. Yeah. Look at an eavesdrop if that's what you want to do. That's
yeah,
fine.
there you go. Awesome. Well, thank you, everyone. And thank you, Kerry Lee. And until the next time, please be well and take very good care of yourselves. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.